This is Group 1 presenting to you our project plan for a charity benefit concert. Firstly, we respectfully acknowledge the Yugambeh people, the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, and pay our respect to their elders past and present, and all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. Black Lives Matter Australia is a charity benefit concert that exclusively features performers from the Indigenous Australian community. The focus of this project is not only to spread awareness about the exceeding level of police brutality that Indigenous Australians face, but also to provide Indigenous Australian artists with a platform to tell their stories. The event will be held on the 14th of November from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. at Hotter, Home of the Arts in Queensland. Although the Black Lives Matter movement started in the USA, it is important for Australians to understand its relevance to our Indigenous community and how racism still remains embedded in the minds of many of our citizens. The death of Indigenous man David Dungay while in police custody shares a striking resemblance to that of George Floyd, both whose last words were "I can't breathe." Black Lives Matter Australia wishes to educate people about these injustices and make a real impact by donating the majority of our proceeds to foundations that help Indigenous Australians overcome adversity, Justice for David Dungay being one of them. Our social and political audit includes recognizing Indigenous Australian culture and identity, researching the significance of the Black Lives Matter movement, ensuring that Indigenous and other minority communities play an active role in the project, understanding the views of locals regarding the Black Lives Matter movement, and reviewing laws and licensing. Our leadership approach is democratic, as it is important to us that all team members get an equal say in the decision-making process of our project, as the Black Lives Matter movement we support is all about equality. A democratic leadership approach boosts creativity and collaboration amongst team members, which is ideal for any artistic event. Black Lives Matter Australia will be run with and by members of the Indigenous community at all stages, as our ultimate goal is to empower them.
Our ethical stance aligns with the Black Lives Matter movement, and we want to bring awareness to issues of police brutality and unfair treatment of First Nations people in Australia. We'll make sure to plan the event in a way as to not speak for Indigenous Australians, but rather give them a platform to share their voices. It's also really important to us that we include Indigenous people in our production team so that we can communicate with them and hear their thoughts about what we're doing. Our objective is to raise awareness about issues the Indigenous community faces, as well as raise money for relevant organizations. We'll be donating proceeds from the event to various foundations supporting the movement. Our company goals are to educate people about the Black Lives Matter movement in Australia and about the injustices the Indigenous community faces. We want to promote Indigenous artists so they can become well known by a wider audience. We'll also donate our profits to Indigenous charities in order to make a real impact. The first step in our production plan is to create our pitch, so we'll need to decide what we're doing and why we're doing it. And then we'll need to find sponsorships, so other people and organizations who agree with what we're doing and want to help us out. We'll also need to find organizations to donate our proceeds to. We'll need to research them thoroughly and make sure that they're valid and that the money will be going to somewhere that's actually going to make a difference. We'll need to book the venue, which we've decided is the Hotta outdoor stage. We'll also need to find musicians and hire them and discuss the project plan with them and inform them of the requirements that they'll need in order to participate in the event. We'll also have to hire lighting and sound crew and other necessary staff members. And then we'll need to begin our marketing and advertisements, which we'll do a lot of that through social media. So we'll make social media accounts and do promotions and marketing things there. And we'll decide on the ticket price and begin selling our tickets, and then we'll be ready to have the event.
The total budget of our project will be 22,300 AUD for the first year. This will increase slightly over time due to a demand for further marketing and possibly even further with an update to the venue size. This amount covers our venue, equipment, staging, staffing, water, marketing, insurance, setup, and of course the performers. I aimed at keeping costs to a minimum throughout this process, as we needed to ensure the most support would go towards the Black Lives Matter movement. However, the event did still need to draw in the patrons, so few corners were cut. These costs mean we can price our tickets at $50 per ticket and only need to attract 450 attendees to recoup the costs of the event. With a full outdoor venue capacity of 3,800, this would be easy to attain. However, we could even reduce the size of our venue and host it with the enclosed stage area only and still have enough space to break even and make more.
The scheduling for the day will go as follows. A 6 p.m. start time where the hosts of the events come out with an acknowledgement of the country. They will then follow this by introducing a traditional Aboriginal dance group. They will then follow this by introducing the elders who will give a speech for their people. Then at 6:15 p.m. the first artist will be introduced. The artist time slot can be seen in the image. Every artist, which is 10, will be given a 15-minute time slot to play a few songs. The final artist will play a 15-minute set as well. However, he will be granted a little bit longer and can play a 20-minute set if he likes, as he's the biggest artist of the night. He will then be followed by the host closing the night, thanking all the artists and everyone for coming out and supporting the cause. The scheduled running time will be followed strictly as each artist needs their 15-minute time slot. Black Lives Matter isn't a one-year cause, so we'd like to keep this a yearly concert in which we can highlight Indigenous performers every year. Every year we'd like to have a budget of around $21,000 to $23,000. The first $18,000 to $19,000 for event costs, artists, water, venue, equipment, etiquette, and the remaining money for advertisement. Profits will also be going towards the cause and helping wherever it can with the Black Lives Matter movement. The first year won't be expecting the biggest turnout for excess, however the following years with the focus on the event and the cause, it'll get bigger and more successful. The cost management will remain the same and hopefully the budget will grow. However, the 90% focused on event management and the 10% focused on advertising will remain the same. Ticket profits, food and alcohol profits will all go towards dividing up between the Justice for David Dungay, Justice for Yunjmu, Justice for Joyce Clark, Bridge the Gap, Black Rainbow, and Pay the Rent. All of the Justice pages are GoFundMe pages dedicated for those causes, while Bridge the Gap, Black Rainbow, and Pay the Rent are all official pages.
There are numerous risks that can be identified throughout this project, however they can all be mitigated through proper awareness and planning. Injury to performers or attendees is an obvious risk, although it can be hard to monitor. Grip stairs and mats, as well as handrails, should be implemented to avoid any unnecessary falls or slips. Overheating could also prove to be an issue, but water will be made available for anyone who requires it. However, the event is running from 6 until 9 p.m., which will assist in avoiding any overheating issues due to the daytime heat. The performances could distress or aggravate some audience members. However, this risk is rather low on the scale. It can be avoided easily by Through these controls, we aim to mitigate and remove as many risks as possible and have the event run as smoothly as we can.